Okay, good morning, everyone. Hope you're all well on this fine Wednesday morning. My name is Ben Kelly. I am the ad studio market lead across Australia and New Zealand. And essentially my role is I look after all the account management, sales, and any kind of product updates across the Australian and New Zealand market for our self-serve advertising platform, Spotify Ad Studio. So all of you have been asked here today as you have already created a Spotify Ad Studio account, but you're actually yet to actually create your first ad. So what we want to do today is run through some of the kind of key advantages of Spotify Ad Studio, run you through a demo of the platform in terms of how easy it is to create your first audio ad on Spotify. We'll then dive into some tips and tricks for creating great audio ads on Spotify. And then finally, we'll showcase a performance case study from a real life advertiser on Spotify Ad Studio over the last couple of months and the sorts of performance that they were able to drive. But before we do that, what we'd love to do is get a little bit of feedback from you. So we're going to launch a poll now, which is essentially going to ask you a simple question around, and we'll just launch that poll. You haven't used your Spotify Ad Studio account. Can we ask why? So answer truthfully, don't worry, we won't be publishing your results. This is going to be super helpful for us just to move forward with as advertisers that we work with on a regular basis, just to understand how we can better your experience through Spotify Ad Studio. Great. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for answering that poll. So let's kick things off. So what we wanted to touch on before we dive into Spotify Ad Studio is a little bit of an understanding of the overall media landscape across the world and across Australia and New Zealand that we're seeing. Of course, 2020 has been a year like no other. And what we've seen with that is some changes in the way that people are consuming media content online. Of course, we've seen massive spikes in searching for coronavirus or COVID-19 updates. We've also seen, increases in streaming across whether that be, movies, shows, funny videos. We've also seen gaming increase, searching for cooking recipes, people wanting to engage in information, whether that be across business, finance article, and news or sports news. But what really remains true is that listening to music and podcasting continues to be really important. We've seen massive spikes in listening to music, up 59%, and podcasting as well, up 18%. So, despite all of these changes, audio and consuming audio media is extremely important to people in 2020 today. So what we've seen alongside this is a bit of a shift in the way that people are actually engaging in Spotify media as well. Time at home is really been on the rise over the last 3 to 4 months. And with that has come about new routines. On platform, we've seen this reflected in where people listen. For example, listening in the car has declined, but listening on gaming consoles and across connected devices is actually up. But because Spotify is available across now over 300 devices, we're able to remain with listeners through these changes, proving the essential status of audio whenever and how people choose to listen to it. So more people are listening around the world despite global uncertainty as well. Monthly active users across Spotify has actually grown 31% year on year, which represents our third consecutive quarter of year-on-year growth above 30%. Specifically, our ad-supported audience, or the free tier, has grown 32% year on year. And in all 4 of our regions, MAU, or monthly active users, grew faster in Q1 2020 than it did in Q1 2019. And that's across both premium and ad-supported users. Not only does this mean that we have more listeners around the world for you to reach, it also makes it crystal clear that in this uncertain time, music and podcasts continue to play a very important role in people's lives. And with audio ads, you have the opportunity to show up in all of these important moments. So brands today, more than ever, are using agile mediums more. What they want is easy to test and learn platforms and platforms that allow for flexibility. With the rate of change we've seen this year due to natural disasters, COVID, civil unrest, agility and flexibility are absolutely key for brands. And through Ad Studio, it's extremely easy to test and learn. With all of these market dynamics rapidly changing, we understand the need to test the effectiveness of existing campaign setup, current creative rotation, and targeting parameters. Through Spotify's offering, testing becomes much easier as you can set up new campaigns quickly and implement learnings to existing campaigns even faster. Ad Studio allows for flexibility. There is a need now more than ever to allow for real-time changes to campaigns. And whether you need to switch out your creative, adjust your spend, or change targeting, Ad Studio allows you to have that maximum control over your campaigns and able to make those adjustments quickly and efficiently. So with that, some kind of key advantages of running through Spotify Ad Studio. There are 4 kind of key pillars to look at. Number 1, speed, flexibility, and control. 2, powerful targeting options. 3, free audio ad creative. And 4th, real-time reporting. And we'll dive into each of these in the following slides. So speed, flexibility, and control. Through Spotify Ad Studio, you can actually launch a campaign in under 10 minutes. And we understand that as an extremely agile environment, that is 2020, we really need to be able to get campaigns launched efficiently. And through Ad Studio, you can absolutely do that. You can also get started with as little as $250 per campaign, and 100% of that media spend will be going towards actual ads rather than any kind of platform fees or creative fees. You'll also be able to adjust any of the targeting and creative and budget in real time throughout the course of the campaign. So you'll be able to make any kind of optimizations in real time, and those controls are in your hands, meaning that you'll be able to get the most value out of your campaigns quickly and efficiently. Secondly, powerful targeting options. So, the real advantage of running advertising across Spotify just generally is that Spotify is a 100% logged in environment. And what that means is that we understand who our users are and what they might be interested in. From a targeting perspective, what that means is that we can tap into this first party data and target via age, gender, or location, interest targeting, which is informed by current playlisting and podcasting information. Real-time context allows you to tap into real-time playlisting moments. And then from a music endemic targeting standpoint, genre and fan-based targeting will allow you to tap into either real-time genres or actual historical segments of people who are highly indexing for certain artists on Spotify. Thirdly, and probably a real wow moment for Spotify Ad Studio, is the free and easy audio ad creation. So Spotify Ad Studio is obviously an audio only tool. And so what we're going to allow you to do is actually create an ad for free in Ad Studio. And it really is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Number 1, what we'll get you to do is just write in your script and pick your background track. Secondly, we'll then get that voiceover recorded. And number 3, we'll then send the ad back for your review. If you already have your ad, it's super easy. Just upload it into the overall campaign request, and we'll serve that ad as is over the course of the campaign. So a lot of content there, a lot of me talking, and it's probably easier just to see it for yourself. So what we're going to do now is actually create an audio ad for you, just to show you how quick and easy it is to actually get one off the ground. So what I'll do now is just start sharing my screen, and then we will create our first audio ad. So this is Ad Studio. Ad Studio is located at adstudio.spotify.com. And if you haven't already, it's actually a really amazing place to get started and get yourself up and running on the platform. The reason I say that is that it's a really well built out website. So it has lots of interesting resources in terms of how it overall works, some resources on product news, tips and insights, success stories, as well as a really well built out help center, which has all answers to pretty much every question that we get asked as an account management team. Obviously, you are completely supported by our account management team as well. So if you do have any kind of bespoke requests that you can't find on the website, please reach out to any of us. But would definitely encourage you to check out the website if you haven't already after this, as it's a just generally great resource to get up and running on Spotify advertising as a whole. It's also where you log into the dashboard. So once you are logged into your Spotify Ad Studio account, what you want to do is click Manage Ads, and that will essentially drive you through to the main dashboard. So here on the right-hand side, we have the table view as well as ads that are awaiting your review. The table view will show you all the ads that you've ever run on Spotify, and ads you're awaiting your review are if you're requesting an ad from us, that's where it'll appear for you to actually review. In this case, what we're going to do is just create an audio ad just to show you how easy it is. So we'll select this create ad button on the top left, and that will drive you through to the main create flow. So as all of you are either brands, products, or organizations, what we're going to do in this objective step is select that third objective, and then we want to name the ad. So we'll call this one test, and then we enter in the PO number if it's applicable. In this one, I will choose 1000 as that PO number, and then click next. The next thing we want to do is set up your budget and targeting. So to set your schedule and budget, we want to first and foremost select the dates. So if we wanted this ad to launch today, we totally can. And you just select 22nd of July for that. And let's say in this case, we will end this in 2 weeks, go the 5th of August. From a budget perspective, as I mentioned, you can get started with as little as $250 per campaign, but you can enter in a custom amount as well or select one of these options. In this case, I'll choose $4,000 and that will select that to spend that budget over the campaign period. Next thing we want to do is select who we want to hear our ad. So firstly, we want to choose the geo. All of you are based in Australia, so I'll select the country as Australia. And then what we want to do is enter in the more granular locations. We can target nationally, but then also what's available through Spotify Ad Studio is either postcode targeting, suburb, city, state, or nationally. So you can enter in any combination of those and that will reach people within those locations on Spotify. In this case, I will choose Sydney and Melbourne. So just select those two. And that's going to reach people listening in Sydney and Melbourne across the 22nd through to the 5th of August. Moving down, what we then want to do is select the age, gender, and platform. All of these are pretty straightforward. For the age, we want to select the specific age between the ages of 13 to 65. In this case, I'll choose 18 to 35-year-olds. Next, we want to choose the gender. We can select all or specifically male or female. And then platform, we can target by iOS, Android, or desktop, or leave as all as well. One thing I'll just quickly note, here on the right-hand side, you'll notice that we have a pricing audience estimator as well as a campaign planning tool. At the top of the screen is the price per listen. The reason that we charge on a cost per listen model here in Australia is that all audio ads are actually skippable in the Australian market. And that's great for you as a marketer, as you're not necessarily forcing people to listen to audio content that they're not interested in. And then also, we'll only ever charge you based on 100% completion of that audio ad or actually a click as an engagement. In this case, we're sitting at a 0.018 per listen, or if you want to extrapolate that out, $18 per 1,000 listens. You'll also notice that we give you a budget delivery likelihood. That's based on the targeting, campaign length, as well as the overall audience that's available. And it'll give you a sense of whether your budget will deliver in full based on what you're wanting on who you're wanting to hear your ad. Next, we have ad listens, reach, and frequency estimates. This is really helpful, obviously, from a campaign planning perspective. And all of these metrics will also be available to you in real time once that campaign kicks off. So moving down the screen, the next thing we want to do is apply interest or additional targeting. From an interest targeting perspective, as I mentioned earlier, interest targeting is informed by recent podcasting and playlisting information. So let's say, for example, we're working with a gym brand and they're wanting to reach people who are interested in fitness. So let's select fitness, health and lifestyle, and running in this case. And what that's going to do is it's going to kind of aggregate together all of the different playlists, people who are highly indexing for different playlists and podcasts across the fitness space. You can select any number of these together to create the perfect interest brief and targeting strategy for your brand. Moving down, we also have real-time context targeting, and that kind of takes interest targeting a step further in that it's going to reach people in the next ad break while they're listening to certain playlists right now. So let's say we're still working with that fitness advertiser. If we were to select workout, that's going to reach people who are listening to these types of playlists right now in the next ad break. The trade-off with real-time context targeting, and you'll notice here on the right-hand side that we actually did see the budget delivery likelihood go down, is that you are getting more granular with your audience segment. So we do give you tips and tricks to broaden that overall audience segment to make sure that you get away that full budget. And in this case, if we were to extend the schedule, expand your audience, or add locations, that would probably make the audience broad enough to get away that full budget again. So let's say, for example, we were going to target nationally instead of by city. You'll see that if we do that, that budget delivery estimator goes back up again. Genre targeting, I won't spend too much time on this, but this essentially uses the same logic as real-time context and allows you to reach users listening to certain genres of music right now. And then no additional targeting, will just apply the targeting that is and has been applied from a demo perspective. So in this case, I'm going to go with that interest targeting strategy and then move forward into the next step, which is creative. So as Spotify Ad Studio is an audio-only platform, what we're going to be doing is creating an audio ad. Don't worry, if you're fresh to creating audio ads, we actually have some great resources in the tool as well. We've got examples of audio ad creative for you to look at, as well as Ad Studio guidelines from a creative best practices standpoint. So definitely check those out if you haven't already after this. So what we want to do is essentially piece together an audio brief. The elements of an audio ad on Spotify are obviously the audio, but then also there's a visual element as well, which is a static 640 by 640 banner that serves where the album artwork normally does on Spotify. But the first step, what we need to do is actually create the audio. So let's say you've already got your audio ad, you just want to select use my own, and that's essentially going to allow you to drag and drop an audio file into that box and use that as your audio file and audio ad. If you don't have an audio ad already, what you want to do is select help me create one. And that's essentially going to allow you to create a brief for an audio ad. So first and foremost, we want to choose the background track. You can either choose from our library or upload your own track. If you do want to choose from our library, we've got a bunch of different tracks that are available, all supported by independent artists. And every time you actually select one of these and use it as a background track, every time that's played, the artist will actually get royalties on Spotify. So it's completely supporting that music industry as well. So let's say in this case that we want to choose upbeat pop. You can hear what it sounds like by clicking play. If you're happy with how it sounds, select done, and that will essentially automatically mix that into the voiceover once it's been recorded by our team. The next thing we want to do is select the actual script element. So if you're new to audio ad writing on Spotify, we actually do have samples available here. So depending on the objective of what you're wanting to do, so let's say we wanted to promote a limited time offer, it's going to give you an example of a perfect script for Spotify audiences. So you can see here, there's a really strong CTA, a really clear call to action, and a really, I guess, short and sharp script. We'll dive into each of these elements on terms of what makes an audio ad a little later in the presentation. But for this case, let's just take this as is and copy and paste it in that box. The next thing we want to do is choose the voiceover. So essentially, we want to choose first and foremost the language and accent. We do have both the Australian and New Zealand accents available for you to choose. So I'm going to go with Australian in this case. And then we want to also choose the voice profile as well. So let's go with male, young adult. Next, we want to enter in any kind of instructions for the voice actor, and keep these as comprehensive as possible, as this is what the voice actor is actually going to use to perform their ad. So whether that be the emotion, tone, or speed of the ad, for example, read the script in a peppy, excited voice or pronounce a word a certain way. Make sure you keep those instructions really comprehensive, because that's going to obviously help the voice actor perform it right the first time. So that's the audio element. The next thing we want to do is create the image. So essentially, it's just a drag and drop or an upload directly from your desktop. As mentioned, it is that 640 by 640 file, either JPEG or PNG is acceptable. So I'll choose this one in this case. And then we want to enter in the CTA, click through URL, and the advertiser name. So the CTA is that button that you can either click to drive through to the website that you're wanting your user to drive through to. There are a lot of different CTAs available here for you to choose. As this is a limited time offer, what we probably would want to select is more info. The next thing is that click-through URL. So let's go with www.smile.com. And then the final thing is the advertiser name. So this advertiser is called Smile Dental. So we want to just write that in this box. And you'll notice once we have entered in all of those elements, once we scroll up, we've got a really nice example of how that ad will look when it is being served on both the mobile and desktop screen. So the final thing is just reviewing the ad. You want to click next, and then you choose this drop down to have a look at how the ad has been set up from both an audience and creative perspective. Double check the targeting is everything that you want. Double check the creative is what you're actually wanting. And if it all looks good, look at those payment details. In this case, it's been set up with invoicing, but obviously if you are set up with credit card, that will be shown there for you. If it all looks great, just select those two boxes, and that will essentially allow you to place the order, and it will move it into the queue to either create the audio ad for you or start serving whenever your start date is. So that's it. That's how easy it is to create an audio ad. So now we've done that, what we'd like to do is just quickly launch another poll for you guys, and just to understand how easy it was, or maybe it is now, for you guys to jump in and create your audio ads. So after watching that demo, is Ad Studio a viable option to help market your business? Feel free to answer now. Great to see lots of yeses coming in. Cool. Thank you all for participating in that. So what happens next? Essentially, the next step is the revision process. So if you are requesting an audio ad from us, what will happen is we will take that brief, and it will generally be about a 24 to 48 hour turnaround for that ad to come back to you for review. The way we notify you about that will be via an automated email, similar to what you're seeing on the screen. If you click review or voiceover, that will then drive you back to the dashboard, and essentially you'll be able to play back the ad, either approve it, make revisions to it, or reject it based on what you're wanting to do. So the final piece and really kind of key advantage of Spotify Ad Studio is the real-time reporting that's available. Audio generally and across the board is quite a difficult thing to measure from an offline perspective, and it does rely on a lot of estimating, as well as just overall estimates in terms of campaign performance and learnings that you can apply to future campaigns. The advantage of running audio through Spotify, though, is that it's 100% digital, and what that means is that it's 100% trackable. So in Ad Studio, what those metrics look like for you in real time are just number one, ads served. So how many ads are actually being served across the course of the campaign. Ad listens, how many people are actually listening to your ad in full or engaging with it. And then that expressed as a listen rate being the percentage of times that people actually listened in full or engaged with the ad. We'll then also give you reach and frequency estimates of both listens and ads served. And then finally, we'll give you insight into clicks and click-through rate as well. So you'll be able to action any kind of changes that you need to across the course of the campaign based on those performance results. Don't worry if I flew through all those metrics too quickly. If you do need any kind of reminder on exactly what those terms are, you can hover over any of those metrics within your campaign, and it'll give you a really short definition of exactly how we define those metrics at Spotify. We'll also give you audience metrics, so who is hearing your ad, just to inform, I guess, future campaign targeting strategy or current campaign targeting strategy. And at a high level, we'll give you age, gender, genre, and platform insights in terms of who is hearing your ad across the course of your campaign. So then one of the last things that we want to touch on in this webinar are some tips for creating audio ads on Spotify. Now, what we do understand is that Spotify ads really are built for this streaming generation. They do go a lot deeper than traditional radio ads. The reason behind that is that they're more personal in that you can really create this one-to-one connection through targeting rather than a one-to-many strategy that is so common across radio. You can also get a lot more contextual in that you can get deeper consumer insights for higher relevance for that particular user. And they're also more interactive. So it doesn't just rely on that audio element, as we've just seen in that demo of the platform. There is an image element and a CTA button. So if the user decides that they want to actually engage with the ad, they can, and they can drive through to your website to make it far more easy for them to then go on and convert as a new customer for you as a brand. We also understand the power of audio. What we've seen in recent studies with Nielsen is that audio ads can actually increase ad recall over traditional display ads by up to 24%. So audio ads are, extremely important to be considered as a broad part of the overall media strategy for a campaign. So in terms of creating a great audio ad on Spotify, there are really kind of 7 key things to remember. Number 1, know your audience. So understand who you're wanting to reach from a targeting perspective and who will actually want to engage with you as a brand. Number 2, you want to introduce yourself. So pretend that the user actually has never heard of you as a brand. What do you stand for, and what will you offer them as a new user to you as a brand? Number 3, create a clear call to action. So make it super easy for the user to go on and do that secondary action that you're wanting them to take, whether that be, tapping the banner or going to a certain website following hearing the ad. 4th, you want to say it more than once. So people often will need to be told things multiple times to remember. So make sure that you're making that CTA really short and sharp and saying it multiple times throughout the course of your campaign. 5th, have fun. The advantage of running on across Spotify generally is that people are in this mindset of being creative and engaging in their favorite artists and podcasting content. So keep that context in mind and don't be afraid to, have fun with your overall brand message. 6, you want to match your music. So with audio ads, we want to make sure that that experience from music to ad as least disjointed as possible. So think about the overall context of what they might be listening to based on your targeting and match that with background music. And 7, time is finite. So if you can get your message out in under 15 seconds, don't be afraid to do that. Sometimes the most powerful ads can be the shortest. So think about ways that you can get your message out fast to maximize that use of time for the user. So the final thing we want to touch on is what performance actually looks like for a particular advertiser. So you can see here, this was a recent campaign that we did with Zucal. Zucal are an Australian advertiser that specialize in affordable and convenient university textbooks. Essentially, this campaign was by Zucal looked to grab the attention of Spotify listeners with their service, listing out specific benefits to drive awareness. The voiceover profile that they selected from us was male young adult, and the instructions were a clear, happy tone, background track starts at 5 seconds, and spell out ZOOKAL in the CTA. So I'll just play that for you now so you can all have a listen.
Want the cheapest and most convenient textbooks this year? We got your back. Here at Zucal, we're all about cheap textbooks online. We have Australia's largest range of new university textbooks, lowest prices and up to 70% off. Fast, convenient shipping and a 14-day money-back guarantee. Zucal.com. That's ZOOKAL.com. For students, by students.
Cool. So if you want to hear that ad again, it is available on the Spotify Ad Studio website, but you can see here they really did apply those 7 key steps to drive some strong performance. And what that performance looked like exactly was at a high level, the 2 things that we really want to focus on from an audio ad perspective are the listen rate, so the amount of times that people are actually listening to the ad in full, and click-through rate. From a listen rate perspective, they performed well. Our benchmark across Australia is 71%, and you can see here they were above that at 74%, but really wanted to call out that click-through rate. Our benchmark across CTR, across audio ads, is 0.03% in Australia. And you can see here this click-through rate was 0.28, which is almost 10 times our benchmark. And you can see here that by applying really strong targeting strategy, a strong creative message and a great offer, they were able to drive overall brand performance and real success across this campaign. So that is it, everyone, in terms of the actual content. Before we wrap things up, though, what we're going to do is answer a few questions. So I can see here we've got a few questions that have been dropped in the chat. So we've got one here from Ruchi Singh. From me to all panelists and attendees, how much frequency should be optimum to get the best results? That is $1 million question, Ruchi. And it really does depend on your overall campaign goals and what your overall offer is. There's and I guess what I would say is there's no silver bullet solution from a frequency perspective. Depending on the general rule of thumb is that depending on what you're wanting to do and how far down the funnel from a campaign objective standpoint you're probably wanting to get that frequency up. So things to think about are if you are for example, new to an advertiser, you're going to want to introduce yourself probably multiple times and think about different types of creative across the course of a campaign to ensure that you are peppering the user with different pieces of information about you as a brand, what you stand to offer them, and really drive them down the funnel towards that overall goal, which is, I assume, conversions. Whereas if you're targeting user, which is a much further down the funnel, your frequency is going to have to be less because the user needs less times to hear the ad or hear the actual offer to actually then go on and convert. In terms of a benchmark of what we would see across Spotify audio specifically from a frequency perspective, what we've seen is that anywhere between 3 and 5 will sit really well from an average campaign frequency perspective, as most advertisers are really sitting in that branding phase and are really just trying to educate users about them as a brand to then drive them down the funnel with other touch points across your other media mix. So we've got another question here about, do you have any best audio ad tips? We absolutely do, and we've already run through some of them. So definitely would encourage you to have a look at those 7 kind of key tips for audio ads. In a nutshell, we just want to make sure that you get your message out really short and sharp. You have a really strong CTA. You think about the context of a Spotify ad. So think about like having fun with the ad, not being too professional, but then offering an actual really strong offer to the user that they will then want to tap on and convert through to your website. I'll just pause for a second there. Feel free to drop any more questions in, guys, as you have them. Oh, we've got another question here from Ruchi. If we select 2 targeting like interest and real-time context, do they both overlap and reduce the targeted audience size? So the way that we've set up Spotify Ad Studio is that you actually can't select 2 of interest and real-time context. The reason why we do that is that from an ad serving logic perspective, it actually creates an and rule rather than an or rule. And what I mean by that is if you were to select interest of fitness and then real-time context of studying, what that's going to do is it's going to reach people who are interested in fitness and who are studying right now. So you can see that audience isn't actually getting broader, it's actually getting smaller. And so what we want to do for you guys is broaden your available opportunity and set you up for success. So what we've seen is by selecting one of those 2, you're going to deliver better results, get your campaign budget away, and have a better experience overall than selecting both. Great. Feel free to drop in any more questions, but if there aren't any, which it doesn't look like there are, thank you so much everyone for joining this 4th webinar in our Love Audio series. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be sending up a follow-up email after this. And for any more information, please head to Ad Studio's website, which as a reminder is adstudio.spotify.com. Or of course, you can reach out to your account manager or me at bkelly@spotify.com. But thank you so much, everyone, and have a good day. Bye.